Hey guys, it's Penguin here and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking more about the brand new added Artisan Curios in the upcoming patch 10.0.7 and exactly what they're for. If you guys saw my video that I released last week about prepping for this patch, I mentioned these items, but I stated that we really didn't know what they did, and we finally have those answers, so I'm going to be talking about, what this means for professions and all of that. As always, everybody, I recommend checking out that video if you haven't seen it already, and if you enjoy this video, leaving a like or even subscribing would be amazing. But without further ado, let's get into it. And so, to get it out of the way, if you are just here for the simple answer, basically these Artisan Curios are used to spawn specific profession rares within the Forbidden Reach, which is the new zone coming in the new patch. So if that's really what you wanted to know, there you go, but let's dive a little bit deeper. And so the first thing is, what in the world are profession rares? Now, firstly, I just want to mention this is not an official name. I'm kind of just calling this group of rares profession rares. You'll see why in just one second. But these are just normal rares that happen to drop specific profession-based items. These items include different reagents, different crafted items, artisan's metal, and even knowledge points, which is definitely the big one. Now in total there are 13 rares. There is one rare tied to each primary profession and cooking and fishing, and therefore there is one rare tied to one Artisan Curio. And going back to their loot table, what you get from each rare depends on two different factors. First of all, do you have the profession associated with the rare? Secondly, did you summon it? All players who tag this rare, so this means yes, you do not have to summon this rare to get its loot, will gain 5 artisan metal and a handful of reagents / crafted items that relate to the specific profession, as well as kind of the normal rare stuff like different currencies, supplies, stuff like that. So for example, if you tag and kill the Agony Blazehoof, which is the alchemy profession rare, then you will be probably graded with a handful of potions and other alchemy reagents. Now let's say you do in fact have alchemy, right? We're still talking about the alchemy rare. You kill it, you still didn't summon it, but you did tag it. You will gain a knowledge point item that will reward you 1 knowledge point. It's very similar to the items that we already get weekly through the treasures as well as killing other creatures. It's the same exact thing and basically just an additional knowledge point each week. Then lastly, if you are in fact the person who summons this rare, which we'll talk about in just 1 second, you will gain some bonus loot. Somebody who not only kills but summons this rare might gain a handful of quality 3 reagents compared to only quality 1. Now before you get super excited about the potential of farming these rares for knowledge points and metal, sadly that is not possible because you can only gain artisan metal and the points each week. Now you can kill the rares every single day for the other loot items, for the reagents and all of that, but you will not get artisan metal, which means every single week you're only getting 1 more additional knowledge point for each of your professions. However, you can kill all 13 rares, which would bring in an extra 65 artisan metal. So if you're super desperate, there you go, but that is a huge disclaimer. Now alright Penguin, you told us what these rares are, but how do you actually get the curios to spawn them? And thankfully it is pretty simple, however it does depend on your type of profession. Firstly, we're going to cover crafting professions, which includes all 8 primary crafting professions, as well as cooking. And so as players are killing things around the Forbidden Reach, they will randomly receive these different dropped Artisan Curios. Now the big thing about this is that these are actually the blue version, or the rare version, and cannot actually spawn a rare. Once they have one of these dropped curios, they actually have to get it crafted into the epic version. Now they can either do this themselves. For example, let's say my enchanter comes across the dual crystal. That is the enchanting artisan curio, so I can just craft this myself. If you do not have the required profession yourself, you will have to place a work order. Now this can be a private one to your alt, or it can be a public one for anybody to help you out. If you're curious on how to obtain these recipes, it is actually very easy. Currently, they can be purchased for only 10 artisan metal. I assume that might be increased because that seems very low, but these can be purchased from a trader who is in the main town inside the Forbidden Reach. But this recipe consists of nothing fancy. You simply are just turning in the rare version into the epic version, and you're good to go. Now, if you're somebody who is going after the gathering related rares, you have a slightly different process. Unlike crafting, which can be looted from any random mob, you can only gain these artisan curios while actively gathering. So you have to be actively fishing, mining, herbing, or skinning. Now, because of this, you are actually going to loot the epic version, so there is no sort of crafting needed. You're good to go once you loot this item. Also, I quickly just wanted to mention that on PTR, you can actually sell and purchase the epic versions of these curios off the auction house. Meaning, if you're somebody who is trying to farm the rares but can't be bothered to find the curios, then you can just simply purchase one for a premium. Also, vice versa, if you can't be bothered about the rares, but you happen to have a ton of extra curios laying around, you can have them crafted, and then of course sell them for some extra gold. We will have to see what the going rate of these items are, but this could be a good source of income. And so the final step, once you have your epic artisan curio, is to actually spawn the rare. Once you have the epic curio in your inventory, a spawn location will be marked on your map. Currently, it's that little, cross sword symbol on your map, and it pops up. Now, I will just warn you, there are multiple spawn locations for each rare, so if you happen to come across your second cooking curio or something like that, it could be a different marked location, so always just check your map. Once you're there, there will be a glowing or highlighted object that you just have to interact with. It will use the curio, and then the rare will spawn. At that point, you can tag it and kill it, and of course, if anybody else is in the area, they can also tag the mob as well and help you kill it. But there we go, that is basically what artisan curios are, and the different profession rares coming in the new patch. Now, on an additional note, if you guys have made it this far into the video, the jewel crafting rare is actually very, very important and very, very special. In addition to all of the loot I talked about before, that rare is actually the rare you have to kill to get the recipe to upgrade primordial stones as a jewel crafter. So if you are somebody who is interested in that market, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I highly recommend watching my previous 10.0.7 video. I'll have it in the description. But if you're somebody who is interested in that market, this is definitely going to be a rare you want to focus on. Whether you farm the curios yourself or you just try to be there when the rare spawns, that's definitely something you want to look out for. Also, all of these rares are tied to an achievement, so if you're an achievement hunter, yet again, you're going to want to get on this. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was educational, I hope you learned something, and I hope you're super excited for 10.0.7. As always, if you have questions, feel free to let me know, and have a good day, everybody.